back. The Lyric Opera of Chicago just announced its lineup for the 2023-24 season. And
the list includes productions from all around the world, both traditional works and more contemporary pieces. Joining us now with a look at some of the highlights of the upcoming season is President and CEO Anthony Freud. Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on your show.
So glad you're here with us. So you're kicking off the upcoming season with an opera from the 1800s, The Flying Dutchman. Tell us about that, and why start with that particular piece?
Because it's really spectacular. It has huge choruses, it has wonderful melodies, and it's a very dark, brooding, supernatural drama. It's by Wagner, and some people associate Wagner with very long operas, but actually this is a very short one. It's only 2 hours, 20 minutes, so it's no longer than many movies.
All right. So the next one we want to talk about is the classic story of Cinderella. What can we expect with that?
Well, this opera Cinderella by Rossini comes from the first half of the 19th century and is an absolutely beautiful take on the classic fairy story. It has everything you would expect from Cinderella to a fairy godmother and glass slippers. It's beautiful music. It's very romantic. It's very spectacular vocal music. It has what is called a lot of coloratura singing, which means very acrobatic, very agile singing. It's a real vocal, spectacular showpiece.
Okay, Anthony, one of the newer pieces on the schedule is Terence Blanchard's Champion. Blanchard, the talented musician, received rave reviews last season for his hit, Fire Shut Up in My Bones. I'm so disappointed I missed it. But tell us about this one and the decision to feature another work by Blanchard.
Well, Lyric has a very passionate commitment to presenting every season at least one new or recent work in English. And as you say, last season, Fire Shut Up in My Bones was a huge hit. And Terence and I, speaking at the dress rehearsal of Fire, said we need to somehow maintain this level of excitement. And so I'm thrilled that we've included Champion, which is actually Terence's first opera in our upcoming season. It's about a boxer, Emil Griffith, who said very memorably, I've been forgiven for killing a man, but I've never been forgiven for hating a man. Loving a man, for loving a man. I'm sorry, I got that quote completely wrong. Anyway, it's a wonderful piece. If you love Terence Blanchard's music, you will love this opera. It is rich and beautiful and tells a very human, very passionate story.
All right. And finally, another classic, Aida, by an Italian composer who, Anthony, I'm not going to try and say the name. Please say it for me and tell us why this resonates with so many.
The composer is Verdi, one of the great, great operatic composers of all time. And many people who know a little bit about opera, if you ask them to name what is the grandest, most spectacular opera in the entire repertoire, they would say Aida. Verdi's Aida has that very, very famous giant triumph scene with the famous Grand March. It's an opera full of magnificent choruses and, as you would expect from grand opera, a passionate love story, a love triangle. I have to tell you, it doesn't end happily, but that's also true of much of grand opera.
Wow, I have to line up and get my tickets now. What a great preview, Anthony Freud from the Lyric Opera. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you, and please see you at the Opera House.
We'll see you there. Well, the 2023-24 season of the Lyric Opera begins in September, but the Flying Dutchman and continues until late March of next year.